The ghetto ignorant mentality is universal. It is a global disease and a global pandemic. It is affecting the workplace, your local grocery stores, schools, colleges, neighborhoods, places of peace could get disrupted and destroyed and ruined because of the ghetto ignorant people. The first thought that people get whenever they hear the term ignorant and ghetto or poor or low poverty is black people. It's because of the media. The media normalized it for most black people to be seen in a negative light. And there's a lot of black people that glorifies the stereotype because they take it like a badge of honor. They're proud to be from the hood. They're proud to say that, oh, I got all these cops chasing me. And the Keishas and the ghetto chicks are the enablers because they keep having kids with them. They're having sex with them. They're gassing their head up. And there's even women who are well put together. Some out there who are taking care of men like this, and they call these men real men. What is so real about a man who's in and out of jail, who's a bum, Pookie and Ray Ray, straight up hood dude? What is so appreciative and rewarding about a man who could put your life in danger? I've heard cases of many women that died at the hands of a man that they were taking care of who was no good. They knew he had a criminal past. They knew about his criminal history. But they said it was sexy. It had a sex appeal. It got charm. He's good looking. He's good looking though. But these are the same men that'll possibly beat on you, torture you, harass you, or murder you. And some of these women be going back to these same men. They will say the things like, oh, don't hurt him. I love him still, even though he beat on me. What? Stuff like this happens. It's probably happening right now. So I wanted to cover this video going along with continuing to talk about the ignorant ghetto mentality of a lot of Americans, not just black people, Hispanics, white people, Asians, anything, like Latinos. Like, it's universal. It's a universal disease because every country has a ghetto. Every country, they got some type of poverty going on. Everywhere there's going to be rich and there's going to be poor. And there's going to be people that's like somewhere in the middle, just trying to get by. The ones that they don't want nothing to do with nobody. They just want their peace. They want their space. They want their land. They want their space. They don't want no drama. Okay? I respect that and I get it. I want to come home to a place of peace. I want to visit somewhere in peace. I want to be at peace when I'm going grocery shopping, when I'm going out to the park. I don't want to deal with another Pookie or Ray Ray bum thugs flashing their guns at me, saying that they want to rob me. Run everything that you got. Run your pockets. Being from Brooklyn, New York, and growing up in the hood, these are all the terms that I've heard from other dudes. There was times I almost got into actual fights. Not in the streets. Not just in the streets. But at school. Middle school setting, high school setting. Even elementary school. I've dealt with little thugs, Pookies and Ray Rays, upcoming Pookies and Ray Rays. Little hoodlums that was raised And this behavior, yes, it's taught, but it's also the parents' fault. See, my mom did not play when it came down to being ghetto or having my pants sag. My parents comes from a Haitian background. Okay? They're islanders. They're not from here. They only came here to get a better life. Yes, it was rough for me growing up. My mom did her best to raise me, and my sisters as well. There was some problems, some separation here and there, but she did the best that she could. My dad was somewhat in my life. He did the best that he could to be there when he needed to be there for me. So I thank God for him as well. Regardless of everything that happened between him and my mom, that's their relationship, that's their business. Okay? I didn't say too much in some of my videos because some of the things that I went through, I believe it was irrelevant to some of the topics. And I've noticed I keep getting some comments saying things like, oh, I hope I don't become an anti-black channel. I hope I don't become or transform into being anti-black. And I'm not, that's not me. I'm not anti-black. I'm anti-hate. I'm anti-drama. I'm anti-ghetto. I've been traumatized the most from black people being black since I was a child, dealing with bullies. Dealing with bullies. There are thugs, pookies, and ray-rays. There are also neighborhood bullies as well. When I said I had to worry about not getting jumped when I was a lot younger, especially going to school and coming home from school, I'm for real. I didn't really have my sisters around growing up, especially one of my oldest sisters that had a street reputation. She was proud of it. She was basically the example of a Keisha that was in the streets. That was all about fighting. I couldn't depend on her for protection. I was the baby. I had to learn for myself as I've gotten a lot older to become a man of my own. My dad did what he could. He gave me advice here and there. It is what it is. I'm just thankful to God. At least I didn't become the product of my own environment, because that could have happened. But I chose not to be that way because my dad growing up, he was never the type to be into that lifestyle either. So he wholeheartedly put in me to say and said things like, you're not a bum. He set the example of what it's like to be a man. Regardless of what happened between me and my mom, my dad is a real father. He was not there for me, but not that he was a real father. He carried himself as how a man's supposed to carry himself. He did what he could to take care of me. That's all I'm going to say. My dad's not a bum. He's not Pookie and Ray Ray. My dad is a strong, well-spoken, educated, independent man. I have respect for my father because he's well-spoken, well-educated. He takes pride carrying himself a certain way. I believe it's the Haitian culture, the Haitian background, because a lot of people said that. But it's a good thing that my dad instilled that mindset into me, and so did my mom. My mom tried to do that with my sisters, but unfortunately, that was not the case for some of them. Now, my sisters did grow up, and their lives is getting a lot better now. A lot of them did change, especially one of my sisters that had that street reputation. She still acts ghetto, but one thing I could say about her is that she got herself together. She's in a better position in life. She's married, wonderful man that's actually taking care of her, and they're taking things from there. I don't want to speak too much into this because this is not part of the topic. This is not part of this video. The whole point of this video is to talk about the university, or the universal pandemic centering around the ghetto culture, the ghetto mentality. It's in black hip-hop, black music, it's in Hispanic music, it's in white music, it's in a whole bunch of genres and musics today. There's Asian hoods, there's white hoods. Black hoods is not the only one that's in poverty and ghetto. I've came across all walks of life of people, white, Hispanic, Asian, Latino, Mexican, that were about the streets, that were about flashing their guns, like being proud that they were thugs, that they were hood. You ever see when you're walking around somebody that's ghetto, they give you that look, like, and this is what I've experienced. There was one time I was about 12 years old. I was going home by myself from school. And for those of you that are familiar in what part of New York I used to live in while I was in Brooklyn, the part of Brooklyn that I used to live in was Brownsville. For any one of you that are familiar with Brownsville, Brownsville is known to be one of the worst areas in Brooklyn, New York. Brownsville, Brooklyn. One of the worst areas in Brooklyn, New York. And I believe it. There was a couple of times I was this close getting caught and gunfires. There was one time I used to work in Picken Avenue, when I used to work for my old Asian boss in the past. Right in front of the store, there were gunshots. And there was a mom and her daughter that was dodging the bullets right in front of me. And this is open through the glass. Because the business that I used to work in, there's glass windows right there. The door is made out, part of the windows is glass, part of the door is made out of glass. You could see everything that's going on. And I seen it, I heard it. Still kept going on with the business. Still kept business running. There was one time when I was staying by one of my sister's place, and 5 minutes later, after I got inside her place, I heard about 4 to 5 gunshots. And I think this was Pennsylvania Avenue. It's one of the parts that's in Brooklyn. I don't know if this is still in Brownsville or it's another area close by Brownsville. I forgot, because it's been so long since I last been to Brooklyn, New York. I need to visit again so I can see my mom. But yeah. And there was another case, when I was 11, 12 years old. I'm coming home, I'm going home from school. And I turned the corner. I don't know the area too well, but most of the time, I don't really bring drama to me, because I dressed like I didn't really have money, because there were times that I got so uncomfortable that I was like, you know what, it's just better to just not look apart, but dress like I don't got nothing. Dress like I don't got much money on me. Because there was times that whenever I walked around certain neighborhoods and certain areas, especially when I was in Picken Avenue, the time when I was in Brooklyn, New York, there were times I was wearing like blue Converses, and I didn't know the history behind it, that it was involved with Crips. Because the Crips back then used to represent what they wore. Like, they wore a blue shirt, blue Converses, and wearing blue Converse sneakers, it told other gang members that you're a Crip. So there were times that I was like, I'm not thinking about that. I just like blue Converse sneakers. I like how the way it looks. I wore it around certain neighborhoods and certain areas in Picken, New York, and I was getting stares by a couple of different black men, and they all looked the same. Pookie and Ray Ray. They all look like hood dudes. And I kept wondering why they keep looking at my shoes. Why they keep looking at me a certain way. I'm looking around like, I'm not even doing nothing to them. Why they keep looking at me? And I had to come to realize, like, I feel uncomfortable. I think I threw the sneakers out because I value my safety. You see, when it came down to even fashion trends and things that I wanted to wear, I couldn't wear it because it's like with the mentality of a lot of ghetto people that are involved in gangs, you can't even wear certain colors around them because it's like they're going to automatically assume that you're part of that gang. If you're wearing yellow, you're a Latin King. If you're wearing red, you're a Blood. If you're wearing blue, you're a Crip. I never associated myself with being a Crip, a Blood, Latin King, no form of gang. Obviously, without the way I speak. I don't even know any gang signs. I don't know the street rep. I don't know street codes. I don't know. I was just the type of brother that was minding his business, who wants to get educated and wanted to get his life together. It got so bad one time where I'd rather drop out from high school because the high school that I used to be in was just ghetto. It was ghetto. I've dealt with ghetto Hispanic people in my high school growing up, ghetto black people. The school was predominantly black. Hispanic was second, some Asian. Most of the people, ghetto. It was in a ghetto area. It was the only high school that, one of the closest high schools that accepted me, and I was very close to home. I wasn't thinking straight. My mom didn't really help me out as much, and I don't want to talk too much about that, but when your parents has a disability, it could be harder on you. So I pretty much had to help my mom out in a lot of cases because of her disability. And I was the last one to leave. I mean, my mom is in a better position right now. She could take care of herself and all that, but I don't want to get too much into detail. I apologize if I'm going a little bit all over the place, but these are the things that I've seen and witnessed growing up. And the reason why I wanted to bring up this video is to dissect and tell everybody that, hey, I'm not against black people as a whole. There's just some black people that are so offended that they are screaming Black Lives Matter so hard that they are too blind and deaf to actually hear what another intelligent brother has to say. Some of you, I'm sorry, if you're coming across this video, you watch some of my videos on dealing with ignorant ghetto black neighbors, some of you know who you are. I mentioned all the time, I've dealt with Hispanic neighbors. I've dealt with white neighbors that were ghetto. I've dealt with ghetto white neighbors, ghetto Hispanic neighbors, ghetto black neighbors. One of the worst experiences for neighbors that I've ever had were Hispanic. Those are one of the worst experiences that I've had as neighbors. The majority of bad experiences were black neighbors. The worst that I've ever had was with a Hispanic ghetto neighbor. Like, the dude was freaking jealous, hateful, and he just straight up evil. His vibe was very toxic, childish, and the man looked like he was very evil. The last day, when I'm packing up my things, and we got a U-Haul truck in front of the apartment complex, and we're ready to move out, he gave me the most evilest look. Like, evil. It pierced through my soul. It's like I just felt his presence, and it's like I could just feel the toxicity. I'm like, man, thank God I'm leaving. That's how he really felt. I knew it, but seeing it on top of that, that's how he really felt. He was very jealous of me and my wife. He was just a hateful Hispanic brother, bringing in girls in and out of his house, always cursing his kids out. He seemed like he was abusive. He seemed like he had a lot of mental problems. There was a lot that happened while I was living in that apartment complex, because it was only 2 floors. It was like basically a small house that was turned into a one and 2 floor apartment. Okay? It was separated into 2 floors. The bottom floor was the first apartment. Second floor was the second apartment. I lived on the top floor in the second apartment. Going back to my story in Brooklyn, there was one time I was about 11, 12 years old. I'm minding my business. I'm coming home from school. I turned the corner of a certain block that I was not too familiar with. But it still took me back to going home. I was still basically going down the strip in Pickens Avenue. But I turned a certain section or a certain block that led to a project building. There was still people out. The bus stop was right there. There was people right there too. The moment I hit the corner, I seen a brother that's sitting down on the steps in front of the building. The guy was twice my size. He looked like he was past 6 foot. Maybe he was 6'4", 6'5". I don't know if he was Hispanic, Asian. I don't really remember. But I remember how big he was and the way he looked at me. I gave him only one look. And the moment I did that, he got up and he was like, yo, you got a problem? I turned around. I'm like, I'm only a kid. I'm freaking 11, 12 years old and you're talking to me like that? I turned around and I was like, no. Like, I was scared. I was scared. The dude is 2 to 3 times my size and you're picking on me? The dude looked like he got problems. He looked at me with such anger. Like he was just looking for somebody to rob, beat the crap out of, or possibly kill. I was thankful to God that day. I started praying, because you cannot tell me that was not God. The moment I turned the corner and he got up, he was like, yo, you got a problem? Because I only looked at him once. What do you expect me to do? It's normal for somebody to look at you, but you're coming up to me like I'm trying to start with you. I already could see I'm a target. You're picking on a kid. You're 3 times bigger than. Really? So from there, I was like, no. Like, I answered in a soft, quiet voice because I was scared. I was scared for my life. I was scared. So many things was running through my head, like, is this guy gonna beat me up? Am I gonna get robbed? Because I don't have money on me. I'm broke. I'm poor. I don't got money on me. I don't got nothing. I only got my house keys. I just want to get home. That's the only thing I was thinking about. I just want to get home in peace, man. I'm tired of this. I don't want to get bothered. I don't want to be bothered by nobody. And he was like, yo, you know what time it is? I was like, no. I kept looking back. I looked back. There were people right there at the bus stop, a few feet away from me. And I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I had no idea what the brother was talking about. And he was balling his fist like this, just looking at me, slowly approaching me, and I just kept slowly backing up. I forgot all the other stuff that he said. And then he was like, oh, you think it's a game? I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I'm just trying to get home. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get home. I kept trying to calm the dude down. I'm begging him, like, please, look, I'm just trying to get home. Like, I was a child, I was a kid. The dude was a grown man, and you're doing that? The dude looked like he was a no-life, Pookie and Ray Ray, straight up bum that was just hanging outside in front of the project building that he was living in, and he just wanted to look for somebody to rob and fight. He was a punk. He was a straight up punk. You're picking on a freaking child that don't got no weapon on him, that's not doing nothing to you, an innocent bystander. But if I was 3 times his size or I was a lot bigger, he wouldn't be doing that. He probably would have think twice, like, oh, let me not mess with him. So as he was saying, oh, you think it's a game? I told him, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to get home. I said something like that amongst the lines. And he asked me, oh, do you got something in your pocket for me? I was like, no, I just got my keys. And he was like, run your pockets. Run your pockets. I showed him what I got in my pockets. I was like, no, I just got my keys. I got my Metro card. That's all I got, man. He checked me. He looked at me. He kept giving me a straight look in my eyes. I don't know if he was testing me to see if I was going to run away or he was going to beat the crap out of me. I stood there still, and I still spoke to him while backing up for a little bit. I started praying. And then it finally took him